This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, where are we during the last class? Any idea?
Purchase order release strategy and contract release strategy.
Okay, so let me get into the system. Okay, so we were trying to create a release strategy for the purchase orders and for the contract, etc. Request for quotation, contract, and purchase orders and the scheduling agreement. For all these things, we will have one release strategy. So let me go to the system. So I think we created a characteristics, right? So the step number 1 is we need to create a characteristics. So we already defined the characteristics, and now let us see. So I will go to the India 1 2 3. Okay, so let me go to the, so let me see if we were able to create. I will go to the SPRO transaction code, go to the SAP reference implementation guide, then materials management, then purchasing, then go to the purchase order, then a release procedure for the purchase orders. I will go to the edit characteristics. So I will try to check whether these characteristics are created by us or not. I will select this and I will copy and I will try to find it out. So we were not able to create any characteristics, so we will try to create the characteristics. So I will try to click on create and input the description. The description I can put it as company code over here, then select multiple values and go to the additional data. And in case of purchase order, the communication structure is CEKKO. So I will input the table name as CEKKO and the company code is BUKRS, Burks. So BUKRS is nothing but a field value. So I will just enter and I will save it. Okay, so then we have a order type, purchase order type. I will select, I will input purchase order type. I will click on create. So I will give a description as a order type. I will select multiple values. I will go to the additional data and the table name is CEKKO and BSART. So BSART is the field name. Same way how we created the characteristics in case of purchase requisition, we need to create the characteristics over here. But the characteristics and the communication structure and the relevant field values differs over here for the purchase order. I think this is already there, so I will put 99. So I will give some specific naming convention, that is 99, and I will try to enter and give the naming convention as purchase organization. I will select multiple values. I will go to the additional data and the table name is CEKKO and the field is EKORG. So EKORG is the field. I just save it. Now I will go to the purchasing group. Purchasing group is LPGRP. I will click on create. I think we also have the purchasing group. I will put 99. I will click on create. So I will also change over here to 99. That is CEKKO EKGRP. So I will select multiple values. CEKKO EKGRP. So I just enter and I will save it. Then we have a plant. I will select the plant. I will go to the create. So L plant L99 I will put. So I will try to click on create. So I will also change it over here to L99. L value also 99 I will put. So I will go to the, I will take a description of the plant and I will paste it over here. I will select the multiple values, additional data, CEKKO, works, WERKS is the plant. So I just save it. Then L value, I will go to the create and total net order value I will select and I will input. I will go to the multiple values, additional data, CEKKO, GNETW. So is the, so I will select and I will click on enter and I will enter a currency over here. So the value is in terms of rupees or USD I need to put. I will enter INR over here and I will also select interval values LOD over here. I will click on save button. So with this we are able to create the characteristics. So these are the characteristics which we want to create. So we were able to create these characteristics. Now let me get into the class. So I want to create a class that is known as PO class. So this is the naming convention and the class type is 032. So for the release strategy, whether it is a purchase requisition or purchase order, the class will be 032. So I will go to the edit class. I will go to edit class and I will try to create a class that is PO class. PO class 99, let us see, so that it will not get duplicated. I will select PO class 99 and the class type is 032 and I will click on create. So that is, I will give some naming convention. Then I will go to the characteristics and I will maintain these characteristic values over there. So these are the characteristics. I will assign these characteristics over here. Okay, so let me now save it. So we were able to create a characteristics. Now I will go to the define release procedure for the purchase orders. So I will try to create a release group over here. Okay, so what is the release group? Let us say the release group is XUM XZ, anything I can give. So I am going to give a XZ over here. So I will select this and I will try to delete this and I will try to save it and I will go to the new entries and I will create XZ. Okay, so the class is, I am going to assign the class which I have created over here to the release group and save it. Purchase order release strategy is always at the header level. So that is the reason I don't have any checkbox over here for the header level or the item level check. So the purchase order release strategy is always at the header level. You will not have item level or header level in case of the purchase order. It will be always at the header level. So I will now go back and I will go to the release course and I will go to the new entries. What is my release group? My release group is XZ and what are the levels at which I want to release the purchase order. So the levels are, let us say I will take 8 levels. Let us say level 1. Level 1 is supervisor of the procurement department. Normally the release strategy of the purchase orders will be involved by procurement people. But in case of purchase requisition, it will be most of the people involved in the release is the production people. When it comes to the purchase order, it will be a procurement people. Okay, so then we have a level 2. So level 2 is a assistant manager procurement department, and level 3 is a manager procurement department, and level 4 is senior manager procurement department, and level 5 is a AGM procurement department, and level 6 is GM procurement department, and level 7 is VP procurement department. Then level 8 is, let us say, CEO company. Okay, so what is the release group this release course belongs to? That is a purchase order release. I will select XZ and I will maintain over here. I will also maintain a workflow over here as one. We already discussed what is workflow. So what I will do now, I will select these two combinations and I will mention it over here in the release group, and for the release code and the workflow is one, and the description over here is the supervisor and all those things. So I need to enter these things like this, and I will save it the same way how I did it in case of the purchase requisition. So I will try to save it same way how we defined the release group and the release code and the workflow and the relevant description details in case of purchase order. The same way we need to define these things as well over here in the purchase order release strategy. So let me now get back. Your class is 7:15, right? So early. No problem. So then a release indicator. So your release indicator is a B for blocked or G for released. Right? There are two release indicators, B for blocked and G for release. If you want, you can use these two release codes. We are going to use SAP standard release codes only. We do not have any. If you want to create, you can create, but better to use SAP standard release codes or the release indicators. B for blocked, G for released. So I will now go back and I will go to the define release strategies for the purchase orders. So I will give any one of the release group is XZ, and the release strategy is PO. Let us say give anything, and the release strategy will be a RFQ and contract and a PO which has a value greater than or equal to 0. It should trigger the 8 levels of the people. So these are the 8 levels at which I want to involve these people whenever I create a request for quotation, contract or the PO. Okay, so now after maintaining these levels, I will go to the release prerequisites. The same way how I activated in case of the purchase requisition release strategy. So I will be activating these release prerequisites. Okay, so let me now get into the continue button. I will go to the continue. I will go to the release statuses. See, nobody approved the release purchase order. So that means my purchase order is in a blocked status. Only one level released, still my purchase order is in blocked status. 7 people released, but the last level did not approved. So that means my purchase order is in still blocked category. So I will not be able to convert this particular purchase order into a goods receipt, etc. All 8 levels of people released. So that means my purchase order is in a completely released status. So I will go to the continue. Then I will go to the classification. So in the classification, I will see the class that I have created to the release group XZ. Release group is XZ, and the class which I have assigned to the release group is this is the class. It has these are the characteristics. Now I will go back and I will try to click on simulate button, and I will click on OK, and I will save it. Now I want to maintain a characteristic values. So for each and every characteristic, I need to specify the characteristic values over here. Where I will maintain, what is the transaction code to maintain a characteristic values? Can anyone tell? What is the transaction code to maintain a characteristic values? We already maintain the characteristic values in case of the purchase requisition, right?
TT04.
Pardon me?
C2 TT04, sir.
No, CT04 is for characteristic creation, but not for characteristic values maintenance, right? Characteristic values, you created a characteristic company code, but what are the company code that are relevant for that characteristic is a characteristic values. Let us say company code IN47 is one of the characteristic value. IN48 is one of the characteristic value. So like company code is IN47 is the characteristic value. Characteristic is company code, but what are the company codes that are relevant for this characteristic is IN47. Order type, purchase order type is NB is the purchase order standard document type, and UB and FO. Also the request for quotation document type is AN. Contract document types MK and WK. Scheduling agreement document types LP and LPA. So these are the characteristic values for the characteristic order type. Then purchase organization is IN47. Purchasing group is 000, 0001 and 002. These are the characteristic values. Plant IN47 and IN48. So like this, these are the characteristic values. Net order value is greater than or equal to 0. Any purchase order that is being created which has a value greater than or equal to 0 is one of the characteristic. So these are the characteristic values. I need to maintain these characteristic values by using CL24N. So what is the meaning of this? If I create a purchase order or request for quotation or contract or scheduling agreement which has a company code IN47, which has a document type, any one of these, which has a purchase organization IN47, which has a purchasing group, any one of this, which has a plant, any one of this, which has a value greater than or equal to 0, it will be relevant for the release strategy. What is the release strategy here? What is the release strategy we are creating? Okay, so which has a release strategy? 1 minute, we will see the release strategy. So which has a release strategy? PO will be triggered for that. So that is the meaning. So I need to maintain these characteristic values for the characteristics which I have created. Where I will maintain? I will maintain in the CL24N. So in the CL24N transaction code, if I specify a class under the relevant class type and click on enter, it will display the release strategy which I have created. So for this particular release strategy, I need to maintain the characteristic values. So for the company code, I will input IN47 and order types. The characteristic values are AN is for the purchase request for quotation, MK and WK and LP and LPA are for contract and scheduling agreements, and PO, NB, UB and FO, like that. Whatever may be the PO document types are there, you can create the PO document types and assign it over here. Then what is the purchase organization? Purchase organization is IN47. If you have multiple purchase organizations, you can maintain it over here. Then purchasing group. So purchasing group is 000 and 001, 002, like that. You can mention whatever may be the purchase groups that are relevant for this particular release. You can specify it over here. Okay, so then a plant, what are the plants that are relevant for this particular release strategy? You can mention over here IN47, IN48, etc. You can include multiple plants as well. Then total net order value. So the net order value, it can be a 0 to, if your purchase order value is 0 to 1 lakh. If your purchase order value falls between 0 to 1 lakh or greater than or equal to 0 or equals to 0, greater than or equals to 0, so it should trigger the relevant release strategy which I have created. So that is the meaning of the maintenance of the characteristic values. So I just save it. Any doubts in the characteristics value maintenance?
Okay.
Are you able to succeed in the purchase requisition release strategy? Anyone who was able to create a purchase requisition release strategy in this group?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then good. Yeah, then good. Okay, what about others? Others, Nageshwar garu, are you able to create? Hello? One minute. Sudhakar garu and Pavan Kumar, Vipul Charan. So are you able to succeed in creating a purchase requisition release strategy?
Sir, myself up to only purchase requisition is completed, sir. Release that is not started, sir.
Release strategy not started. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then what about others like Sudhakar? Okay. So try to do that. If you delay it, it will be difficult. Okay. Okay. So this is how you need to maintain a characteristic values. And let me now go back and I will try to. I think there is one more Sudhakar Reddy, right? Sudhakar Reddy. Did he join today or not? Okay, so I just maintain a characteristic values now, and what is the next step in the release strategy? The next step in the release strategy is I will go to the SAP reference implementation guide, then materials management. I will go to the purchasing. If you are able to complete a purchase requisition release strategy, the same is with the purchase order as well. So I will go to the purchase order and I will go to the define release for the purchase orders. So I will go to we were able to create a release strategy. Now I will be getting into the workflow functionalities. So as we discussed in the same way for the purchase requisition, so for a particular release group and release code combination, what is the release group? Release group is exit, release group code is L1. So for a particular release group and release code combination, I am going to mention the user ID details. So user ID and the relevant user ID is, I think, can you hear me? Hello?
Sometimes getting disturbed.
What about others?
Sir.
Others, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sir, the voice.
His voice loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
Now it is okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So now let me put a user ID and the what is agent ID? Agent ID is nothing but a user ID itself. So I am using the user ID as Rafi. So I will input the user ID over here, Rafi. But in the real-time projects, you will have a different user IDs created for different levels. But in this server, we don't have only multiple user IDs. We have only one user ID. So, but in the real-time projects, every person will have their own user ID. You need to specify the relevant user ID over here for the based upon the release level or the release code. Why I am maintaining the user ID over here? Because workflow functionality is nothing but a automatic generation of the mails to the relevant authorities regarding the approval of the purchase orders. So if you want to trigger a mail, it requires a email account or the email ID, right? So the email ID will be considered from the user ID. In the email ID, in the user ID, there is a email. So where email will be configured for each and every user. So if you go to SC01D and put Rafi and click on display, so here you will see a email address. So here the email address will be specified. So you just need to select maintain the email over here, so that system will consider the capture the email from here and try to display the send the mails. So let me now try to save it. So now I will go back and I will see check release strategies. In the check release strategies here, if you see any problem with your release strategy, you will be able to see that particular release strategy in the red color. Okay, so now what I will do, I will go to the define release procedure for the purchase orders and I will try to go to the release strategies. I will see the classification view. So whatever may be the characteristics I maintained, those characteristic values I will be able to see it over here. I will click on next and I will go to the release simulation. So this is the release strategy which I have created. It has 8 levels included in it. If I want to test it whether this particular release strategy is working fine or not, I will go to the simulate release and I will try to see level 1 is released, then it will go to the level 2. Level 2 release, then it will go to the level 3. Level 4 released, it will go to level 5. Level 5 release, then level 6 release, level 7 release, then level 8 release. If the level 8 release, it will go to the complete release status. So when the level 8 release, so it has a status release. That means our release strategy is now working fine. Okay, so I will try to test this particular release strategy by creating a request for quotation. Okay, so let me try to create a request for quotation. So I will, what is the transaction code to create a request for quotation? That is ME41, and the document type I am going to use it is AN, which is a characteristic value, and the quotation deadline date is, let us say, 30/06/2022, and the purchase organization is IN47, purchasing group is 000. So this characteristic is sufficing the requirement. These two also one of the characteristic values for the purchase requisition and purchase group. Plant is one of the characteristic, that is IN48, and storage location is 0001. What is this problem? Somebody messed up here. Please use plants with company code 09A. Why this is coming? The plant you have entered does not belong to the company code that was determined via the purchase organization. Let me see what is the issue over here. We'll go to SAP reference implementation guide and enterprise structure, assignment, materials management, SN purchase organization to plant. The purchase organization is IN47. Okay, let me now try to create. Let us see. I will go to the ME51N, ME21, ME41. So I will try to create a purchase order. I will try to select a material which belongs to the IN48 plant. So I will see. I will go to SC16N. We will go to MARD table. I will input the plant as IN48. I will go to the execute. So I can take a material which is X890. So X890 I will take. I will enter some collective number over here, and I will input X890, quantity as 100. I will put a delivery date is 15/07/2022. So I will select and I will go to the vendor details. So I will put the vendor as 7030. Okay, let me now save it. So I created a request for quotation 67090. So RFQ created is 67090. So let me try to see whether this particular request for quotation has a release strategy included in it. So I will go to the ME43 to display this particular request for quotation. So I will see there is something known as a release strategy tab. So I will click on release strategy tab. So this particular release strategy is now triggered over here. So we have created a release strategy PO, and for the release group exit, so it has 8 levels, and now it is in a blocked category. So I want to release this particular requisition. Request for quotation. What is the transaction code to release the request for quotation? The transaction code to release a request for quotation is ME45. Okay, so I will go to the ME45 transaction code. What is the release code? Release code is nothing but a level 1. And what is the release group? So the release group is XZ. So I will try to, this is the first level of release. So I am trying to release via level 1. So I will select this request for quotation and I will save it. Release plus save. So now level 1 is now released. Then level 2. I will go to the level 2 and the PO. Release group is XZ, right? So I will select XZ. I will try to click on execute. I will select and I will release plus save. Level 3 and XZ. So I will try to release plus save. Level 4 and XZ. So I will try to click on release plus save and the level 5 and XZ. But before releasing the request for quotation, you need to check thoroughly. But okay, since it is a test system, we are trying to simply release it. But before releasing or accepting a purchase requisition, you should be able to check properly. Then only you need to click on select release plus save and level 7 and XZ. Okay, so then level 8 and XZ. Select release plus save. Okay, so all levels of the release is now happened. I will now try to again display this particular request for quotation. We will see what is the status of the release strategy. See, the status is completely in a released condition, right? So all 8 levels are now released. So this particular request for quotation is relevant for the complete release now. I can convert this request for quotation into a order, etc. Okay, now I will try to create a quantity contract. We will see quantity contract is getting triggered for the release strategy or not. So I will go to the ME31K and the vendor is 7030. The contract document type is WK and the organization is IN47. Purchasing group is 000. Plant is IN48. Storage location is 0001. And the material type is X890. So I am now able to create a quantity based contract, value based contract. I will try to save it. So this is the contract which got created, and I will try to see this particular contract. So there is something known as a release strategy. I will go to the release strategy. See the same release strategy which got triggered over here for the contract as well. So if I wanted to release this particular contract, what is the transaction code? So the transaction code for the contract release is ME35K. I will go to ME35K, and the same way how I released the request for quotation, I will also try to release the request for quotation for all the 8 levels. Level 1 level 2 and level 3 and XZ. Level 4 and XZ. Level 5 level 6 level 7 and level 8. Level 8. So like this, now I will try to see this particular contract. I will go to the release status and see the contract also now in the completely released status. So in tomorrow's session, we will try to create a value quantity based contract and scheduling agreement, and we will see whether those documents also getting created for the same release strategy or not. Okay, please try to practice it and let me know in tomorrow's session if you have any doubts on this.
సార్ వాయిస్ అనేది ఊరికే వైబ్రేట్ అవుతుంది, లో అయిపోతుంది, హై అవుతుంది సార్, అసలు క్లారిటీగా వినపడలేదు.
Boss, I think it's problem with your internet connection. Can you check your internet?
బాగుంది సార్.
I cannot hear you properly. It is the problem with your internet connection.
Okay,
What
okay.
about others? Others, can you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So try to check your internet connection. It is not
Okay,
the
sir.
problem with me. Okay. Okay. So if you are joining with mobile data network, then it will be a problem. Try to join via Wi-Fi. Why? Because mobile data is very limited, right?
No, sir, I am using Wi-Fi only, sir.
But now I can hear you properly. Earlier, I was not able to hear you properly. Can you hear me now?
Hearing, sir.
Yeah. So I think you need to check your internet connectivity. For me, it's fine. Okay, then
sir.
thank you for joining the call. Bye bye. Good. We can meet tomorrow.